Hi, my name is Katherine Hayhoe. I'm a climate scientist. I'm also a professor at Texas Tech University, and I serve as chief scientist for the Nature Conservancy. I study what climate change means to us here in the places where we live and in ways that matter to us. And today, one of the biggest ways that we are all being affected by climate change already, no matter who we are, no matter where we live, no matter what we care about, is through what I call global weirding. Climate change is loading the weather dice against us, making hurricanes bigger and stronger, heavy downpours more frequent, heat waves more extreme, wildfires burning greater area. No matter where we live, it's as if we all have a set of dice, and we have a chance of rolling a double six on those dice. That just happens naturally. We've always had wildfires, heat waves, hurricanes, and more. But as the planet warms decade by decade, it's almost as if climate change is sneaking in and changing one and then another one of those numbers on our dice to sixes, and then swapping out one or two of them for a seven as well. And so we say, how could you have 3 500-year flood events in 3 years, as happened in Houston recently? Or how could it hit over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer in Siberia, of all places? The answer to that is climate change. It's loading the weather dice against us. This matters to all of us, but it matters to some of us more. Who? Those of us who are already struggling, who are already marginalized, disadvantaged, living in poverty. Those of us who live in a place that's already prone to flooding, who already spend too much of our money on food and don't have enough when food prices rise. Those of us who already don't have access to clean water or basic health care, basic education. Those of us who don't have a safe place to live or any place to live. Climate change is profoundly unfair. It disproportionately affects the most marginalized and vulnerable right here in the United States and in North America, as well as on the other side of the world. For example, when a hurricane strikes, who can afford to get out of the way? Those who own a vehicle. Who can afford to rebuild after the flooding? Those who have insurance and the resources to do so. When the floods come, whose home is flooded first? Those who live in the lower income areas in the flood zones where other people didn't want to. When the heat waves hit, who suffers? Those who have to work outside, those who can't afford to pay their air conditioning bill. Climate change is, as the U.S. military calls it, a threat multiplier. It takes the fault lines that already run through our society of socioeconomic inequality, of gender inequality, of racial inequality, and it amplifies or magnifies them. Flipping this, though, looking at the other side of the coin, it shows us why every single one of us cares about climate change, even if we don't realize it. I'm going to say something kind of revolutionary here. I don't think climate change needs to or even should be on our priority list. Yes, really. I don't think climate change needs to or should be on our priority list at all. It isn't a matter of saying, oh, it's down at number 12 and we need to push it up to number 8 or number 5 or even maybe number 1 or 2. No, the only reason we care about climate change is because of everything that is already at the top of our list today. And if we care about fairness, if we care about justice, if we care about equity, if we care about a better future, if we care about having clean air to breathe or clean water to drink or enough food to eat or a safe place to live, if we care about any of these things, then we already care about climate change. And the only way we're going to be able to fix these things is if we fix climate change too. Climate change is, again, the threat multiplier. It's like the hole in the bucket. We're trying to fill that hole to address all the problems we have in our world, and that hole in the bucket is getting bigger and bigger over time. So the good news is we don't have to be a certain type of person to care about climate change. Every single one of us already has every reason we need to care. And so what's our role as people who are concerned about climate change, as people who want to promote climate action? Our role is to figure out what people already care about and then help them connect the dots to why climate change affects everything that already matters to them. That is why I am absolutely convinced that the first thing that every single one of us can do to make a difference is have a conversation about why climate change matters and about what each one of us can do to help change this world and lead us all to a better future.